Well, hello everyone. Well, today I've got a great story for you. This is an incident that happened on a trip that my wife and I took last weekend. And within this story, there's a great lesson about the power of the words that you use in your belief. So let's check it out. Well, hello again everyone. My name is Jim White, and I'm an author, coach, and the founder of the Family Enrichment Academy. But more importantly, I'm a parent just like you. Well, today I've got this great story to share that happened on a trip that my wife and I took. But before we get to that, I want to let you know about a free resource that I have for you. I have 10 things you need to stop doing as a parent, and then what you can do instead. So this is a list that I think you'll find a lot of value in, just some shifts in your perspective and mindset that'll help you to be more connected and really be more of a source of empowerment for your teen or your child. So be sure to check that out. So anyway, on to this story. So my wife and I, we actually went to a conference last weekend with a company that my wife represents, and it was in Orlando, Florida. Now, as you know, one of the big attractions in Orlando, Florida are the theme parks, right? There's Disney, Universal, and a few others, I believe. Well, as a result of that, one of the other participants in this conference had brought along her husband and her 11-year-old son. And the plan was for dad and the son to have some quality time together, go visit a few amusement parks while mom was off at the conference enjoying her time with us. So anyway, a couple of nights into this trip, we happened to go to dinner at the same restaurant that the father and son had gone to. And as the father and son were making their way out of the restaurant, they stopped to say hello to our group. And here's where the incident happened. It was just something that blew me away. What happened was the young boy, or young man I should say, 11 years old, he walks up to me, sticks out his hand, and with a firm handshake while looking directly into my eyes, he says, "Hello, I'm Owen, nice to meet you." And just said it with such confidence. And to be quite honest, it took me back a little bit. It's just not what you expect to see out of an 11-year-old boy. Well, anyway, fast forward a little bit, and I happened to be with the young man's mother, and I mentioned to her what had happened. And she acknowledged that they had been working with Owen in trying to help him to develop the ability to introduce himself. They had talked about looking the other person in the eye and in the firm handshake. And interestingly, she also acknowledged that a week or two earlier, Owen had done this with a gentleman, a friend of their family. And what had happened was this other man just made a big deal out of the way Owen was handling himself. He acknowledged Owen's effort. He acknowledged the handshake and the look in the eye. And this mother said that when he did this, it completely reinforced in Owen that this was something really cool to do. And so Owen had been looking for opportunities to introduce himself, a chance to do this again because it felt so good the first time he did it. So I'm sharing this story because it's a great example of the power of our words and our expectations and beliefs can have on our children or a child. If you think about it, Owen's parents, they raised the expectation. There was this belief in them that he was capable of making an introduction or introducing himself in a confident way. And that's, like I said, it's an example of a high expectation. And they coached him through that. And that belief, then they transferred that belief to Owen. So he started to believe in himself as well. So again, I just wanted to point out this is a great example of how our expectations and beliefs, if we share them with our children, can, maybe they can do more than you think they can do. And then the second thing to note is this other gentleman, somebody that's just a friend of the family. His words and his acknowledgement had a big impact as well. And I wanted to point that out, is that sometimes we underestimate how big of an impact our words can have on another child if we take the time to acknowledge and validate them or say something kind or offer some words of encouragement to another child. It's just super powerful. So I just wanted to point that out. So again, the two things, just never underestimate the power of your high expectations and belief in your child, and also never underestimate the impact that you can have on other people's children by the way that you respond to them and the words that you use around them. So that's the two things that I took from this story. Now, With that, one of the fundamental beliefs that we have here at the Family Enrichment Academy is the idea that all of us deserve to be surrounded by people that lift us up and empower us to be our absolute best. And I think this story is a great example of how that happens. And actually, it inspired me to come up with 2 challenges for you for this week. So here are your 2 challenges. First of all, with your own children, I want you to look for an opportunity to raise your expectations about what they can do, and then share that belief with them and coach them into that process. So again, just look for an opportunity to raise that expectation. So that's challenge number 1. Now, challenge number 2 is I want you to look for an opportunity to offer some words of kindness or some words of encouragement to someone else's child, to another child. It could be a perfect stranger, or maybe it's a child that you know. But anyway, take an opportunity to say something to them. Again, offer those words of kindness or words of encouragement. And again, I just think you don't want to underestimate how much of an impact that can have on that other child. So those are your 2 challenges for the week. And I'll end with this idea. I want you to think about this. Choosing that loving perspective, it just changes everything. And that's what we're talking about here. So there you have it. There's your challenge for the week in the story. So again, before we sign off, I just want to remind you, I do have that free resource for you. Those 10 things you need to stop doing as a parent, but then alternatively, what you can do instead. So be sure to check that out. You can go to the website, FamilyEnrichmentAcademy.com, and I'll put a link down below as well. As always, it's truly an honor to be able to serve and support you as you move along your parenting journey, and it is a journey. And I just really appreciate your growth mindset and being willing to lean into and step into the opportunity to grow, learn, and develop as a parent. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. Until next time, remember, a change in perspective changes everything.